Guys, what's up? Thought I'd pop in here real quick. I was getting ready to do a video and happened to catch an earthquake, pretty decent sized one. So yeah. Yeah, so we got it's a pretty decent earthquake. I think the initial reports of it, I don't know exactly where it was located in the Philippines. We're gonna go take a look at it real quick. But with that said, I'm not sure what the population was or any of that. So yeah, it just happened at, well, not even a half hour ago. Well, right at a half hour. Okay, so yeah, correct there, Fifth Element. Always pray for these people over here, okay? They over here in this area of the world, they take a beating when it comes to these earthquakes. They really do. I know we see a lot on our west coast, but we don't see ones these big. This big. So just know that. It's something that we're luckily we don't have to deal with that kind of a thing. Now, we do get some, we all know that, like back during the World Series, the one year back in the 80s where they had the Oakland and the San Francisco Giants were in the World Series, and they had that earthquake during that. That was a pretty big deal. But anyway, that definitely is a big earthquake. Before we get into the details of that, here's the Schumann. And not a whole lot going on here. We do have a little bit of a spike, okay, right here. This thing is just doing what it's been doing. And I hate to keep showing everybody this every day, but I'm going to, because it does matter and this does affect a whole lot of things. We're going to check it out in a minute, Taylor. Give me a second. And, like I said, if there was a tsunami with that, it would have been, it's this box right here. We click on it. I don't think there's any tsunamis. So right now there ain't no warnings or anything like that. So it just happened. So anything that's going out right now is up to change, including the strength of it. So I just happened to be looking at the USGS when it actually happened. So it just, they'll always downgrade them, but that's the initial, is a 7.0. I don't really know how to tell if that's actually that accurate or not. I can't read the seismos and all that kind of thing. But regardless, if they downgrade it, it ain't going to get downgraded far enough to make that not a big deal. Okay, so we'll take a look at that in a second. But anyway, we got the Schumann issue here. So if you're getting ringing in your ears and stuff like that, that could be it. But not 100%, okay? Space weather real quick. Guys, look at that. Look at all those flares. Now, they're not big, but they're definitely flaring. And, that's coming from that. There's now 2 official sunspots over there in that same area of the sun. And I'll show it to you here in a second. But there ain't no radiation storms going on yet or anything like that. Geomagnetic activity, there's a slight chance we could get into a geomagnetic storm today. They're saying we could get into a 600 kilometer per second solar wind stream, and normal's 300 to 500. Like I, said that pretty much 1,000 times. But obviously I need to keep saying it because that's just what we do, right? But that is significantly higher than what we've been seeing. So if the wind has any density at all with it, and it's going to be a 600 mile per hour wind stream, most likely we'll see at least a pretty decent uptick here. Now that's the prediction. I have to say that. That is just a prediction. They're wrong quite a bit. They built in a lot of inconsistency as far as they give themselves a tolerance as far as if they're going to be correct or not. And I can't remember what, I think it's like they expect like a 30% rate that they're wrong. But even right now, you see this? It's flaring again already. This thing is just popping and cracking, but it did give us a couple C class flares here. So it won't take much to really get us up into M class, which is still, it's decent size, but it's not like catastrophic or nothing like that. Obviously, we don't get into catastrophic stuff unless it gets into X class flares. And usually, here, let me show you this. You know, if we get into an X class flare, it's probably going to be off of this chart if it's going to be catastrophic. Just saying. Because we've seen, you know, multiple, during solar maximum, we're going to see X flares. It's going to happen. But how high they are on the scale is what we got to pay attention to. And it won't take as big of an X-class flare now to really mess with us, because our magnetic field is 25% weaker than what it was. So that is the difference of why things could get really, you know, whacked out if we start getting X flares. And we will. We'll get some, I would assume. You know, they expect us to get a few of those within a sun cycle, 11 years. But here are the sunspots themselves, and I showed you guys, this is visible light, but this one back here now is its own sunspot. And this one here is actually still pretty stable. Most of the action's coming from right here. Plus we got an active area up here that's, you know, you can kind of see it here. It hasn't crested the limb yet, but when that crests over to be directly earth facing, that's even going to put X-ray, the base level of the X-ray is actually going to go up more again. So at that level, it won't take much of a flare at all to really get us into, you know, high C class or M. So we'll just have to wait and see, but that's what's going on with that. Now, so we'll just dig into this earthquake real quick, because that's really probably what everybody wants to see. I don't want to make you guys wait. But obviously I was just sitting here looking at it, and all of a sudden, bam, that sucker popped right up on there. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Now, they've already given it a depth. That's pretty quick, okay? It's 95 kilometers deep, so that, you know, that's not extremely shallow, but it's not extremely deep either. So if we, like, zoom in down through here, and let's see exactly where it's at, and it's not over land. Okay, so that's a, most of the time, that's a good thing. Now the only thing we have concern here would be tsunamis, right? So that's really the main concern in my opinion. Now if we go here and we start looking at the specifics, I look at the pager tab first. You guys know that. And the reason why, because to me this is the most important statistic. You know, fatalities and economic loss because of damage. And right now, they're saying, you know, their predictions here, what they're trying to say is 65% chance nobody passes away from this. You know, and you guys can read the percentages yourself, and there's probably not going to be a whole lot of damage involved, unless there ends up being a tsunami with this thing. And there still is a chance of that. They've been wrong before when it comes to the tsunami subject, but always go to the green pager button first. That's what I do. But now we can look at the shake map and stuff like that. So this thing was way out here. Obviously people felt it, and where they felt it, they didn't, you know, there's nobody living here. They felt it up here. Okay, this is where the population is. And this is, you know, if that epicenter was over here on top of this population, we'd probably be having a different discussion right now. So, you know, and they are very prepared over here for earthquakes, because they get them all the time. That's a good thing for these people, because they know. I mean, they know to expect certain ones like that. It just makes them be able to handle it. They're more equipped to handle things like that. But this did happen right on that line, so I mean, it's not like this is way out of the way. So take that for what it's worth. As far as the rest of the world, when we're talking about other earthquakes, there was one here. I think that was Nigeria, was it? Oh, Zambia. Okay. That's nowhere. That's kind of an odd place to see an earthquake of that size. So that's what I would say about that. So you know, that is like nowhere near any kind of normal area that we usually see earthquakes at all. Number one. Number two, to see a 4.2 right there, that's pretty significant in an out of the way, you know, type of positioning. Now, you know, we've had these other ones popping off too, but you know, I've been talking about when we get solar wind and increases from the sun, that the chances of this stuff happening, I've been saying it the past few videos. My exact words were, you know, it looks as though we might have slowed down, which was not good. I actually said that like twice, because what happens is the pressure builds, and when it does finally release, what do we see? 7.0. So, that is what it is, you know. So, yeah. There's your earthquake, but you know, things can change here. Let me say that it's already changed. Look. So now we're into this level, moderate, instead of right here where it was light. So they're already changing stuff. But you know, for them to already say it's 95 kilometers deep, if they didn't know how deep it was, they would put 10 kilometers there. They always do. It's a default for the system until they figure out how deep it was. And the deeper it is, the better off we are as far as the shaking and all that, typically. Hey, Hilly. Hey, Third in Line Tab. Good to see you guys in here. Padme, like the name. Ellen. Taylor, what's up? Angelo holding it down in the Bronx. There we go, baby. Heather. So what's up? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys that first because obviously that's really kind of the big news at this time. What caused it? Well, there's a whole lot of things that can cause these earthquakes. We expect this to happen anyway. So, just want to say, okay? I don't think anybody is, like I said, as of right now, there are no fatalities going on because it's out in the middle of the water. You know, here's the tsunami thing again. We could double check this throughout my video here, and we will. Right now, no tsunamis, but that can change. Okay? It does sometimes. So, we'll come back to the earthquake thing here in a second. And we'll just move on here. Okay. Hold it down in there for me, guys. I'm going to put the chat away for a few minutes. Alright, ACE data. We've seen a phi angle flip here. Polarity of the solar wind. Okay. You know, it did it a couple times throughout the day. The BZs kind of went back to a more stable condition. And what we're talking about here is the angle of which the solar wind hits us. -6 is the marker that we use. Anything bigger or lower than that, we would be saying, hey, conditions are favorable for the stuff to be getting into our system easier. Density, notice the range, 1 to 1,000. And the reason why is because they had some data points here that was up over 100. Now, I'm not sure if that's an actual accurate account of what happened. I didn't see any of the other tools showing anything that high. So I don't know if that's actually what, you know, actually happened. But everything reacted at the same time here. You can see the solar wind went up, the density went up, and the temperature went up. So something was moving there. Now, whether it was that high or whatever, who knows? Now, this is the NOAA prediction model. And the conditions at Earth here are in the green. And we're right about here in time. Okay, so this is historic back that way. This is predictive out in front. So you can see they're predicting an uptick in density here. Just a couple little waves here. They are predicting more than just normal density. So remember, 4 is normal. So anything above 4, obviously, is above normal. As the speed, they're not showing anything like 600 kilometers per second. But that's some of the reports that I've been looking at, that a lot of people think that's how fast it's going to get. Even 600 really isn't that fast. It's obviously it's above normal, but we've seen it way higher. But what I'm saying is that if we get a 600 kilometer wind stream per second wind stream, and we get any density with it at all, typically we'll take a pretty decent geomagnetic hit there, and we'll see auroras, uptick in earthquakes, click click. You know what I'm saying? So just saying. But that's what we're seeing now. Now electron flux too has really kind of bumped up. You can tell that by this map right here. Watch what it does closer to the end. You guys see that? See how it's just kind of fluttering a little bit? And see where the range is. That's pretty low electron flux, right? Or content, I should say. And as we get closer to the end of the time lapse, it all goes higher. So that went higher, the total electron count. It's even getting higher right here. See the difference in the two shades of blue? Look. Okay, so we went to about right here. And it usually doesn't look like this. Usually it's down here somewhere. But if you look at the timing of it, it was at 1300 UTC. We back it up to right there. That was right, that's the electron content hanging around during this earthquake. But, well, no, it would be up here. We've got an overall uptick in electron content is what I'm trying to say. Did it have anything to do with the earthquake? Probably not. I'm not sure if it even can. It just means we got more electrons hanging around. Now this is the one we look at where we catch flares. It'll just be little blips, and we may not be seeing much. There was one. Okay, this is what you'll see. Okay, this is a very, very small flare. We keep going forward. That happened at what, 10? So we keep going forward. We may see another one. Nope, not yet. But yesterday, during the C-class flare, it actually it lit up pretty decent. And this chart over here went up to like a little over 5, I think. So that is an uptick in what we usually see. But there's still very small flares that don't really mean a whole lot. Okay. Here's the solar wind stream itself. This is our magnetopause, our magnetic field. This is our protection. But this right here is showing you the velocity of the solar wind. That's all this is showing you. Okay, so I'm going to pause it. Just grab it. Because we're not really getting a whole lot here right now. This is basically representing where our bow shock is. It's probably not exact because this is just showing speed. But our bow shock is the point where the solar wind meets our magnetic field. It's basically our first line of defense. You see how when it hits, it deflects away from our planet? That's what we need, and that's what it's supposed to do. This is density here. So let me play this one. The whites mean it is a lower density. Okay, so notice that we're not really getting a whole lot. No waves of anything coming from this direction. So things are pretty quiet that way right now. So there's no way that we could sit here and try to say that there was like an initial blast of solar wind or something like that had anything at all to do with that earthquake. Now, the Earth acts like a capacitor. It will hold energy, okay? And when it can't hold it anymore, obviously it has to, release it. And we see that sometimes, and sometimes it will trigger earthquakes, but I didn't even see any of that. So I don't think that space weather had much of an effect on this earthquake this time. That is just my opinion, but, I could be wrong. This is the Australian model. This is the density. This is the angle, which is the BZ, and there's your wind speed again up here. Now I'm showing you the same data on different models so you guys can get an idea of, how, if they correspond with each other, that's really probably pretty close to what the actual conditions were. when they start differing from one another, that's when we can kind of look and be like, well, which one was correct? But they're not really differing from each other too much right now. So we're just kind of waiting on that solar wind stream to get here. Now this is the geoelectric field model. I'm gonna refresh that. This is space weather's effect on our electrical grid or artificial electrical components, wires, transformers, all that. Now notice you're seeing the blast down here. Okay? So we're getting some activity. So let me bring that back to right there. What time was that? That was at 12:18, which would have been, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. That's about the time we started. That's about the time the sun was rising right there. Okay? So that means we were coming to be facing the sun during the day. Alright? This was the sun facing side of the earth when this hit right here. And that's important to understand, because if you get an X-ray burst, which is a flare, and you're on the other side of the planet, like the dark side, it doesn't affect as much. So, you know, if we're facing the sun when we get a big flare, this is kind of what we see. But this isn't really all that big, okay? This is just a burst of extra energy here. Sorry. So, you know, it was probably a little flare or something that happened, and there you go. You can kind of see little wave action going on, but that we always see that. So, and these are fairly new models. They're still tweaking them, just so you know. They're not perfect or anything like that. But it does give us a better idea of what space weather is doing to our electrical grid system. We didn't used to have that before, so now we do. This is the auroras, North Pole, South Pole. I'm just going to pause them and grab it here. So there's really nothing too much going on here either. So, yeah. Now seeds. Let's see if it gives us anything today. Yep. So there's that CME I was showing you guys yesterday or last night. It definitely was decent size. Now this one over here went off the backside. So this here could be coming our direction. I need to look at the CME tracker real quick. Last time I looked, it hadn't updated yet. It still hasn't. So hopefully it'll update before too long, guys. I hope it does, so we can at least get an idea. And we can still get an idea. It's just we can't, like, say for sure. So that's a decent CME. Okay. And, you know, the one that happened the day before, well, kind of at the same time, is over here. Now notice how they both happened kind of at the same time. It wasn't exact. This one happened before, but then this one popped off. So this was more of a filament release anyway. So yeah. Let's go look at stereo A. This is our view, by the way. Okay. Earth's here. The satellite sits right out in front of Earth and always looks at the sun. This is not the sun. This is a black occulter disk, and it has to be there to block out the light, the main light of the sun, so the capture doesn't get overexposed, and that's why it's there. And without that, we wouldn't get any images at all. But yeah, that's why that's there. The surface of the sun is kind of represented by this white circle over here. These are the same viewpoint perspective, just different filter, basically. Okay, that's what you're looking at there. But that's from our perspective. Now we can go look at the sun from the side over here. So the satellite would be here, Earth would be over here. So both of these look like this thing could be coming at us. I'm not sure yet. Like I said, I'm not going to say that it is until I'm, you know, a little bit more confident there. Just saying. Spaceweather.com. These guys do a great job over here, guys. Go give them some love. Check them out. This is their web page. Just has nothing to do with YouTube. Here is that. That is now an official sunspot on its own. Okay, so that we got two of them here. 2798, 2797. Here's a planetary alignment that they're showing here. They're talking about that a little bit here. I'm not going to really talk about that much, but you guys can go over here and check it out. Here they're saying that, you know, today this is where the 600 kilometer per second. They've seen the same thing. So they're saying that it's possible that we could get into geomagnetic like a G1 class storm, which is very minimal, but it is an uptick, and we could get more auroras, again, earthquakes. Now they're talking about sundogs here too. I'm not even going to talk about that today because there's a lot of theory behind all that anyway. I'm not going to get into that subject right now. Sometimes people get upset when we talk about that anyway, but it is what it is. Noctilucent clouds, they're still hanging around. And they're actually, this is quite a bit of them right now. So, you know, we're kind of getting into that peak season of noctilucent clouds for the southern hemisphere. This is the South Pole. Noctilucent clouds is water vapor that gets high up in our atmosphere, the highest parts of our atmosphere, and freezes around meteor dust. And they, you know, we can see these actually visibly with our eyes if you're in the right position. They've seen them in Argentina twice this year, which is too far north to really be seeing these things. We shouldn't really be seeing them that far north. Plus, it was the season itself was about 2 weeks late. Here is the sun right now. Notice that big hole there again. Okay, that is definitely going to give us some weather. Here in about 4 or 5 days, we'll start getting the wind stream from that. So things are definitely starting to uptick again with the sun. And that's why I'm showing it to you. Now here's all those near-Earth objects. Obviously, that is what it is. I want to clarify something too. The the near-Earth objects, all the way up until, you know, last year, they had or when they initiated this program where they were mapping out near-Earth objects. Okay, they had discovered like 1,500 of them from the beginning till like last year or a year before, something like that. But just in 2020, they discovered 1,546 of them. So in 1 year, we got more than what they had recorded from all the time before. So you have to ask yourself, why such a great uptick in that? Well, I think a lot of it, number one, has to do with the technology. I'm going to pull the chat up for this one because there might be some questions. It could be the technology. We could just see more of it, okay? Now, they were looking at this. Now, they call it the CSS. That's the Catalina something. Sky. I forget the last name of it. Oh, goodness. I have to go back and get that again. My brain just is not working this morning. But anyway, the abbreviation they use is CSS. Now, they were using another program. They were doing it in the southern hemisphere, and that program was defunded back in 2013. So, yeah. So what I'm saying is that some of it's probably the increase in technology, and we're now looking at it more. But I also think we're probably in a more dirtier part of space, more cluttered. So, yeah. Just saying. Oh, don't be scared, Caesar. Nothing to be scared about, guys. Hey, body and soul. Good to see you. Third in line. Sig, my brother. How you doing, bud? Kathy. Rebecca V. What's up? Leia, hey. So, yeah. So, Yeah, Catalina Sky Survey. That's what they call that. I don't know why I was having a little problem finding that word. I don't know why, but anyway, that's what they call it. And I think it's like 3 different telescopes that's looking at the sky. I forget the location of it exactly, but it's up here in the northern hemisphere. But yeah, so that's why we see the uptick here, because we're looking more. That's part of it. But I do think that we're also in a more active area of space. I think we're kind of coming into that. And we would be remiss to not mention that. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep our skeptical glasses on at the same time being real. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's go check out this earthquake again. I'm going to update it. You know, they're keeping it at a 7. That's a lot of times by now they've already downgraded that. So that was probably a pretty decent one. Hey Axe, what's up? Arizona. Jeff T, what's up? Yeah, man. When I was watching your, I was kind of trying to watch a little bit of your live stream the other day, Jeff. I just popped in, and I noticed you were playing that movie. And I thought, man, how's he getting away with that? I want to know. And then before I knew it, man, they cut your stream. Did they cut it because it was like copyright or something? I imagine that's what happened. I would almost bet for sure that that's what happened. I texted you right when it happened. Well, when I noticed it. So that does suck. I will say that. It sucks bad. But anyway, we got more earthquakes happening right now. Look, check this out. That was it. That was a 3-0 in Colorado. That's fracking right there, probably in Oklahoma. We had a small little swarm right here too, guys, in Missouri, Tennessee area yesterday. So yeah. So let's so yeah. I really don't have much more for you guys right now. If you guys got any questions, go ahead and throw them at me. Maybe I can help you out. Hey Christine, good to see you. Homegrown, what's up? Robert Paul. Sweet. Hey Scott, how you doing? Oh, you in Missouri, Scott? Did you feel that quake yesterday? Actually, there was a couple of them. Bubba News, what's up? So where are the donuts again? Good one. Paula. So yeah, guys. What's up, LT? Jeff P. AB. Hilly. Leia. Thanks, Leia. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. Wow, Hilly, I didn't know that. So yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and probably end it here. And yeah, keep your head on a swivel, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on around us. You know, there's a whole lot that we can't even really say. We get a lot of we try to put it out there as much as we can. And we just get smacked down when we try to, you know, get really boisterous with it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it. It just means we got to be more careful when we do. Because, you know, the way I look at this, the fact is that I can't change that. So what I do is, I don't want to lose our voice completely. So unfortunately, because of that, we do have to, you know, alter how we look and talk about things. So just understand that. You know, it's better to have at least a little bit of a voice than no voice at all. And there's a lot of people out there, and it gets very, very frustrating. Okay, it does. because there are so many things, guys, that we could just be blasting out here. But we can't. Not in the ways that would really get people to understand. Yeah. You're welcome, Jeff, man. I'm glad you're here, bud. Hey, Linda, what's up? And, G513 to Luca. And, you know, I just really think that... Is Rip in here? Where you at, Rip? You in here? Guys, if you guys don't know Rip's channel, you guys really should go over to Rip Curl. Check him out. Jeff P2, everybody that's in here has channels. You guys should try to support them. Rip's been doing some really killer videos on some preparedness stuff. He was taking tin cans and showing you how you could build a rocket stove out of all of it. Hey, Nebby, what's up? Toluca, Padme. So, yeah. But there you go, guys. I am going to go ahead because I want to try to keep these short in the morning so people can, you know, get a little short report of what's going on. But well, I'll tell you what I'll do here real quick before we get off here. Here is, we'll give you the latest update on the earthquake. We'll take a look at that real quick. They still got it at a 7. Chances are they'll probably downgrade that. They typically do at least a couple points. But, you know, that is what it is. That color there means very strong, but this was out over water, but there is no tsunami. For people that want to know. At least as of right now, we're not seeing any reports. I didn't go look at the buoys, but typically this would be on blast if that was happening. Just saying. So, yeah, and then this here. Okay. CME. Again, guys, remember there were 2 of them. This one blasted off right before this one did, and they're about 180 degrees from one another. I think this was maybe even been a filament release. But this one actually could be coming a little bit our direction. I'm not sure quite yet. Like I said before. I'm not saying that it is because I don't know for sure. You know, the CME tracker hasn't updated yet. But we see it here and we see it on Stereo A. And it does appear to be coming our general direction. But it can miss us north-south. It could barely miss us left-right. But the initial, and I looked at it on SDO too, and I showed it to you guys, but I didn't really see much there. It's hard to kind of see what direction it was going because the sun itself was the background of it, and you could see it, but you couldn't really get a good view of it. So, all right, guys, I am going to take off. So, God bless. Yahusha saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.